To me, what I heard about the KUZUINIK was that it was made by a priest in one of the regions far away or so. So then it found its way to Achimota School Library, and then it happened to be that when like the KUZUINIK wasn't around, they were trying to build one of the towers or so, but then it always like collapsed when it was close to finishing. But then they decided to bring the KUZUINIK back, and when they brought it back, they realized that like they were able to complete the tower. But then they decided that, so like they started thinking whether KUZUINIK was a god or was just like a statue.
Glorious, glorious as usual, glorious KUZUINIK. One of the mysteries again of Achimota School. It is purported by many students that the KUZUINIK is a god or a deity which must be reverenced and worshipped. But then it must also be said and emphasized that a deity is someone who can cause a certain cataclysmic change in the life pattern or behavior of somebody. For example, if someone does something to offend a deity has the right or the privilege to perhaps punish the person in retribution for the person's offenses. But then we can see from all our lives in Achimota School that no such thing has ever been done by the KUZUINIK as many students purport it to be. The KUZUINIK, as usual, will forever remain a mascot of the school, which just remains there to just represent the school in times of when we need somebody to do the representation. You know what I mean? I think Jamfi House also has a mascot, which they have to be the falcon. So basically, a mascot is something that does the representation of the ideologies or perceptions of a certain institution or a group of people in a society. The KUZUINIK will forever, as I said, remain a mascot, not a deity. But then, from past references, most seniors in Achimota School, when the KUZUINIK was dropped by one of the Reverend Fathers, they decided that they will sort of hatch up a lie about it to sort of make juniors feel sort of grateful to the KUZUINIK for doing something to them. So they started passing off the rumor that when you leave your food behind in the house, the KUZUINIK will come and eat the food, so you don't have to touch food after you leave it somewhere, or perhaps you have to offer sacrifices and libation to the god KUZUINIK. So most seniors back then would take drinks, biscuits and other stuff from juniors and use them to appease the KUZUINIK, which ended up to be their own bellies, unfortunately. So these were some of the rumors which were passed around to be part of the KUZUINIK. Some also say that in past times, whenever the school was going for a competition or was going out to do anything that involved competing between other schools, most of it are not during the Kings and Queens college games, the school's mascot was taken along, and during then, the students of the school sort of hatch up a whole sort of festival to celebrate the KUZUINIK in the name of trying to get the KUZUINIK to get them the moral support they need for their players to be able to do what they need to do on the field of play. So that was what was going on. So it gradually became as though the KUZUINIK was being worshipped because other students would take it to the highest level extremes of fooling and start bowing down and all those stuff. That was how the rumors started spreading that the KUZUINIK was actually a god that deserved to be worshipped in Achimota School. But there it lies in the new school library, accumulating dust, unfortunately, and no one has been able to do anything about it. Fortunately for us, that story about the KUZUINIK being a god which needs sacrifices to appease it has gradually faded out of the Achimotan system of culture. And for most new students today, they've never even heard about the KUZUINIK, the school's mascot. So it's up to us to start pushing up the school's mascot, taking it to our competitions once again, and hopefully reviving the vibrant culture that at least Achimota has something to boast in to make our people feel intimidated. This is also one of the key reasons why whenever an Achimotan was going for a competition anywhere, immediately the name Achimota School was mentioned. Every other school had to keep quiet because there was a god around, which always fought for Achimota School. I think we should start taking the KUZUINIK to one of our NSMP competitions. Perhaps it might do the trick. That should be the end for today. Thank you very much. So, some other students say that currently in the new school library, unfortunately for them, whenever they go there, it's like the atmosphere is never conducive enough for studying, but rather it seems that a bed has been laid for them in the presence of their books, unfortunately. So people attribute this to the fact that the KUZUINIK is a god which actually brings sleep onto the students whenever they go to the library to go and study. That is up to us to truly discover. But then I believe that the whole point of this series, of these episodes of mysteries of Achimota School, goes to pinpoint the fact that they are just lies which are being spun by students, hopefully to entertain themselves and to get rid of the boredom of the boarding house. So we shouldn't really take these things to heart, but rather we should encourage them to also continue to, bring up such stories, because they might end up in the history books one day somewhere else, and they will do a great deal of good. After all, the glorious KUZUINIK, as we've earlier stated, was able to instill a certain fear in other schools whenever we went for a competition, even though it was just being spun as a lie. So in all this, it still ends up having some element of truth or, powers behind it. But that still leaves us at the question, should we really believe in these myths? Thank you very much.